This is our presentation on the energy supply and demand of Saudi Arabia and how the nation is powered and what happens when these different energy sources change. The key topics that we're going to talk about are how Saudi Arabia produces and uses its energy, and we're going to explain the key strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats within the nation as it moves towards a changing global energy future. To start off with some strengths, Saudi Arabia has a huge abundance of natural resources, including some of the largest oil and gas reserves globally, which ensures strong export capacity and energy security for the future. Along with this, the kingdom is a huge leader in OPEC, which is the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, and as one of the most influential members, they have the ability to influence global energy prices and the markets. In addition to this, there's a huge benefit with the strategic geographic location of Saudi Arabia because it's right between Asia, Europe, and Africa, which has access to major trade routes and efficient distribution networks, such as the Persian Gulf. Another thing that is really helpful for Saudi Arabia in the oil and gas industry is Vision 2030, which is a plan that promotes the modernization and diversification of the energy sector and promotes sustainability and renewable energy growth. The final strength that we're going to talk about is the growing domestic demand within the nation, and as population growth, industrial expansion, and rising electrification creates stable internal energy needs, the country has huge domestic demand, and they have continuous investment in planning into this. Now, moving on to some weaknesses. Saudi Arabia has a very heavy reliance on oil because it's such a big industry, and this includes government revenue, exports, and the energy. This makes this country vulnerable to price drops and global moves towards cleaner energy. Another weakness is that subsidy distortions and inefficient pricing means that there's reduced incentives to save energy or invest in renewables. And even with the recent reforms that have been changing, low prices still slow the clean energy growth and hurt efficiency in the nation. Another weakness is that there's limited grid flexibility for renewable energies because Saudi Arabia's grid isn't yet flexible enough to handle large amounts of solar and wind power. There isn't enough storage and modern upgrades in the nation, and renewable energy can be wasted or requires more fossil backup. There's also the exposure to the global market and geopolitical shocks that can be a weakness for the kingdom because Saudi Arabia's budget depends on oil exports. Global price drops or policy changes reduce its ability to invest in energy upgrades. Supply chain delays and global tensions can also slow or raise the cost of energy projects. And the final weakness that we're going to talk about is institutional and transitional risks. Meeting renewable and net zero goals requires faster reforms, clearer rules, and better coordination. The slow regulation, workforce gaps, and social challenges can delay projects and lower investors' confidence.
Future energy of Saudi Arabia include expansion of clean energy, growth of the new energy industries, regional and industrial integration, global partnerships, and infrastructure development. Starting off with expansion of clean energy, Vision 2030 and the Renewable Energy Program aim for more renewable electricity, which also leads to more investment, new jobs, and sustainability. Moving on to growth of new industries. In the energy department, advancements in carbon capture, energy storage, and smart grids help diversify exports, strengthen energy security, and boost innovation. Moving on to regional and industrial integration, linking energy systems across the region, enhance reliability, lower costs, and economic cooperation. Global partnerships allow for cooperating with other nations and energy leaders, help with the advancement of energy solutions. And lastly, infrastructure development. Investing in modern energy grids and other infrastructures prepares the kingdom for a future energy demand. Moving on to threats. The threats include declining oil dependence, changes in environmental regulations, high domestic consumption, infrastructure vulnerabilities, and lastly, poor renewable expansion progress. Starting off with declining oil dependence. Global decarbonization and fluctuating oil prices threaten export revenues. Next, changes in environmental regulations. Climate change and carbon regulations raise operational costs. High domestic consumption. Rapid population growth and reliance on fossil fuels reduces oil available for export. Infrastructure vulnerabilities. Security and competitiveness of the energy sector is threatened by aging oil fields and slow global innovation. And lastly, poor renewable expansion progress. Delays in funding or supply chain disruptions can hinder Vision 2030's goals. In conclusion, Saudi Arabia has strong resources and global influence. Vulnerabilities within the kingdom are caused by heavy dependence on fossil fuels. Expanding clean energy and advanced technologies open many opportunities for the nation and the energy sector. The kingdom is one of the most influential nations within the energy sector. Strong infrastructure and global partnerships help with economic resilience for Saudi Arabia. Thank you.